So we are headed out right now to the good old Harley, checking out, making sure the camera angle is good. Here is my Harley. It is a 2012 Superglide, and she hasn't been run in a little while, so we'll get this thing started. Let me double check. I think this angle is going to be good. So we have just under 6,000 miles on the odometer. We'll click it to run. Oh man, she sounds so good. She's incredibly loud, especially in the garage. I don't know if you'll be able to tell with the microphone being in the helmet. Maybe if I crack this open just a little bit, you can hear it a little bit more. But man, this thing is incredibly loud. It sounds mean, it sounds delicious. And we're gonna go for a ride. So despite how sunny it is, or as sunny as it appears to be, it's actually pretty windy and quite chilly today. That's why I have the hoodie on, and I also have a pretty big coat, and I want to stay nice and warm on this ride so it's pleasurable and pleasant, because I'm going for a cruise. And that is the topic, the subject of today's video: my first impressions on a cruiser bike, on a real bike, on a Harley, as a little sport bike kid, as a little squid. So if you don't know me, if you're new here, my name's Max. I'm an automotive and motorcycle enthusiast turned automotive entrepreneur, and I have had a good amount of bikes in my day, despite being rather young. Let's go this way. Let's keep going straight. Despite being kind of young, I've had a bunch of different bikes, everything, literally everything, other than big cruisers. So I always thought to myself, well, what's the appeal? What are all these older dudes that are ripping around on their straight-piped Harleys, ripping on and going on about? Because they love these things. And to me, I just didn't get it. I'd actually never been on a Harley before I bought mine, but I was confident enough in my ability to ride that I could ride at home. And it's not like the biggest one they make, the Ultraglide, I believe. I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong on that. But I was confident enough in my ability as a rider to say, you know what, we can go for it. I'll get this thing home. And so I did. I rode it home, and then I parked it, and then I left for a month and a half, and now it's pretty much my second ride on this thing. Oh, whoa, big bump there. Not too bad. Anyway, I wanted to kind of recap my experience on my very first ride. Oh, with those backfires, baby. Those backfires. Oh, yes. Anyway, I wanted to recount my first ride experience on a cruiser, share with you my initial impressions, and I thought this would be fair simply because I haven't put many miles on this thing at all, and like I said, it's my second ride, period. So this is kind of like a first ride, or a first impression after that commute home that I was pretty cold and pretty nervous on. And despite wearing, I think, the exact same thing, same helmet, same jacket, I remember that for sure. Anyway, my first time getting on this, test riding it, I gave the guy cash in hand to hold. I bought this for $6,000, which is pretty much a steal for what this bike is, as far as I know. So I gave the guy $6,000 to hold, and I said, here it is. If I tip it over, I'm buying it no matter what. I'll pay your ask price. I'm not here to haggle. But if I dump it, it's my fault, and I'll pay you for it. So he let me test ride it. My first time getting on it, I'll show you up here at the stop sign. I was a little bit off my rocker. I'll just say that. I was off my element, because if you know me, and if you know sport bikes, you know we are hunched over just like this, baby. And getting on a bike, especially with the extendo foot pegs down here that you have to kick up to get going and lean back, it is foreign. It's a little bit scary. So my initial starts were pretty hazy, and then getting this thing to turn, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to lean in with my body, if I was supposed to be using the handles in either direction, or what I was supposed to be doing. So in my first ride around the neighborhood, it wasn't particularly the greatest. And then I think it was like an hour and a half home, but after probably the first 30 minutes to an hour maybe, when I finally got comfortable on the bike, I realized what this is all about. I finally understood the allure to the cruiser, because it is nice, especially coming off the back of a sport bike, to be able to sit back with one arm, chill out in the country, and just cruise. Not going fast, not ripping you know what, but just cruising. I see the appeal, I see the allure, and once I finally got comfortable on the bike, which I'm sure I'll get comfortable, more and more comfortable as time progresses and elapses, I realized what the big deal was. Same with power. Like I said, I'm not good with the controls yet with this bike specifically, because I alternate and oscillate between so many. But when it comes to the sound and the speed, I would not consider it to be a fast bike, especially compared to others that I've had, leader bikes, European leader bikes specifically, that are just rocket ships. But it's pretty punchy, it's adequately fast, and I don't know the best way to describe it for those of you who haven't ridden cruisers before, who haven't ridden a Harley, but it's like a big sloppy old muscle car, if you know what that feels like, or kind of like a roller coaster. If you're sitting at the tail end of a roller coaster is maybe the best way that I can think about it, where you get on the throttle and there's a little bit of lag because there is so much weight and so much to move, that just like sitting on the back of an amusement park ride, you see the front end go over and then you just get pulled, is what it feels like to accelerate pretty hard on this thing. And let's see, I'll give her the beans. Definitely no slouch, but again, it's no rocket ship. And we'll signal left, nobody's behind, so I can take it nice and easy. Oh, wrong gear, whatever. Absolute amateur, novice, noob rider. Don't trust anything I say. Anyway, I think we're going to be hitting some slightly curvy roads, some bumpier roads as well back here, but this is where I take some of my cars to ride them, to experience them. This is my first time on a curved road in this thing as well, so it'll be interesting, but it's definitely not what it's made for. It can handle it. I mean, I had to turn and do some leaning in on the ride home, that's for sure, but this isn't necessarily my favorite. I mean, if I was on a little 600 or a liter bike, I'd be hunched over, I'd be ripping around and racing, but this thing is it's just a completely different experience, and the objective is completely different as well. You're supposed to just downshift, let her ride, ease into the turn, look at the cattle, look at the cows, maybe give them another downshift just so they can hear you. Say, "What's up, boys? How you doing? How's it going, baby?" Take the turn way too wide because there's no oncoming traffic, and it doesn't even matter because you're ripping a Harley. We'll plunk up a shift, why not? But this is what it's made for. It's this back road country cruising, looking to your right, looking to your left, and just taking in the scenery with one hand on it and not a care in the world. It's nice to ride this thing, especially in a straight line, just cruise on these. Anyway, the turn in isn't fast, it's not aggressive, but it's not meant to be, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure people can rip the crap off of Harleys, do wheelies on them, drift them, do all sorts of real professional bike rider stuff on them, but that's not me. I'm just around to ride and make a little bit of money on whatever I do. So that is what I do, and I usually tend to take it pretty easy. But once we get on a big road, now that it's warm especially, I'll give her the beans, give her the yams, and see how she does in terms of a nice little straight line acceleration. But hopefully you'll be able to hear the sound with it, because the sound is intoxicating. I didn't even realize I love the Harley sound until, well, I was the one controlling it. Whew. Downshifting all the way into first just to hear that rumble, baby. Let's see. Coast looks to be clear. Oh, there it is. Now, getting to the crux of the matter, kind of why I made this video, and the two realizations that go hand in hand together is why I like to ride this. Number one is because it makes you just sit back, relax, and take everything in. I mean, I shouldn't even be as leaned up as I am. I'm just used to riding in that position. But you can chill with your feet kicked up and wrestling, enjoying your day, and just taking in the scenery of wherever it is that you're riding. And that's really refreshing compared to the sport bike that's more adrenaline pumping and aggressive, but amazing, yet not as relaxing, not as cruising. And I understand why cruisers get their name now. Anyway, the second thing is that they don't require you to break the law to have fun, or to enjoy, more accurately. Again, you can cruise on this thing, and even to hear the pipes, even to accelerate hard, rolling up through all the gears, feeling that visceral acceleration, hearing that intoxicating sound, you're not breaking too many laws. Compared to a European superbike, it's nothing. And it's nice just to sit back and cruise and listen to the sound of the bike and not break too many laws whenever you're whenever you're turning in, taking corners. You're not trying to hit it hard, you're not trying to hit it fast, you're just trying to enjoy your day. And I finally understand that, and it's an element of riding that I usually don't get to experience. So having that gifted to me through the ownership of my first cruiser, of my first Harley, has been a bit of a blessing, that's for sure. So overall impressions of this thing and with this thing, I do genuinely like it pretty well from the bottom of my heart, and a lot more than I expected. I thought that I wasn't going to like it. I thought that it would be too big, too bulky, and that there wouldn't be anything that I like because it's an old man's bike. But that is simply not the case. It's not my favorite. I still love my European superbikes, but it is a blessing, and it's an amazing bike to have in the arsenal to get to experience, and I'm very glad to have owned it, all in all. And with that in mind, I think that'll be it. If you're wanting to see more Harley content, any more content with this machine or other Harleys on the channel, drop a comment down below, drop a like on this video. And if you're interested in learning how I got such a good deal on this and how I've been able to get incredible deals on all my other bikes, head over to Automotive Money. I can assure you and promise you that I get better deals than I know how to ride. Level 2 rider, level 10 buyer. One last final rip before we end out the video. And with that in mind, I will see you on the next one.